Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to this week's edition of the Digital Shop Talk Radio. I'm Tom Dorsey, and today I've got a great guest with us, Jill Trotta from RepairPal. And we're going to be talking about transparency, price transparency. You know, at AutoVitals, we talk a lot about transparency through our inspection program. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the other side of that coin, and that's getting the traction from the motorists and just setting the expectations and managing those expectations of the digital consumer. So without further ado, welcome Jill Trotta. Great to have you on.
It's great to be here, Tom. Thanks for inviting me.
I'm really excited. You know, I've known you for a long time, you know, you got to kind of walk a tightrope when you have female guests on and you're talking about time in the industry. But how about I let you just introduce us to yourself, introduce yourself to the audience, you know, your background, how did you get with RepairPal? Why did you choose RepairPal?
Yeah, so I have been in the industry for like 28 years, I think, since I was like 10.
Yeah, grew up in it.
Yeah. I grew up in it. Actually, I did kind of grow up in the industry. My uncle owned an auto shop and spent a lot of time with me. I had an old Volkswagen Bug, and instead of fixing it for me, he gave me an idiot's guide and told me if I wanted him to fix it, I had to pay him or he would help me fix it. So that's kind of how I got into it. And I went to trade school. I've been a technician. I've worked both on the dealer side and the independent side. And I was a part of a group that we opened a shop and ran that for quite a few years. I left that, had a not so great business partnership. I left that and went back into the industry and worked for Mini for a little bit. And then I kind of decided I wanted out of the industry and was on tap to... Not all the way, you know, I've been in it for so long, even though I have a college degree in recreational therapy, totally unrelated. You know, it's what I know. So I'd actually was going to take a job with Hertz Ava's Budget rental car and manage their fleet at San Francisco Airport. So that was kind of my segue out of the day-to-day auto industry, but you know, I wasn't super happy with that. So I was just kind of perusing around and I found an ad on the internet, and this was 8 years ago. And it said, are you an ASC certified master technician who wants to do something different? And I am, and I did. So, that ad was RepairPal. And at the time, RepairPal only had, I think I was employee number 12. Wow. Now we have about little over 60. And I joined, there was 100 shops in our certified network, and it was my job to build the processes and lead the scaling of the network. And now we're approaching 2,700 shops. And now I lead sales and still our certification program.
No, you know, that's fantastic. And, you know, because it's been an interesting journey, I'm sure. And we're going to dig right into that because I'm really curious about, you know, how it's evolved over time. And it's almost as if you guys started out kind of behind the 8 ball. You know, I remember back when you guys were, you know, the big thing, and when you came out, and what was that, like 09, something like that? 2000? Yeah.
So the estimator has been out since 2007. I joined in 2013. Yeah, you know, the estimator was out for a while and that was going okay. And then our new CEO, Art Shaw, came in and he launched the certified shop program, which is our bread and butter now. Our estimator is our crown jewel. We're constantly working on that. I actually lead the effort with the estimator, and you know, it's gone well. It's been a crazy 8 years. And like you said, when we first came out, people like hated us. I always, you know, say that when we would go to trade shows in the beginning, and for some reason I was became, you know, one of the lead trade show people, people would not talk to us, and people wouldn't go out to dinner with us. Like they wouldn't even go out to dinner, even if we paid. And then, you know, it evolved to where people would let us take them out to dinner. And now, you know, when we go to trade shows, we have a lot of people and big partners who want to meet and talk with us. And now people buy us dinner. So, you know, that's kind of,
no, and it's amazing,
kind of the evolution.
Yeah, AutoVitals was the same way. I mean, it was like we were lepers or something. You know, we were pariah in the beginning, and you know, and Uwe loves to tell a funny story, and we were, approaching ATI, and he got to talk to Chubby, and I think he might have even been at a super conference, but as kind of like as a guest, maybe, right? Definitely not as IT at that time. And Chubby, Uwe comes up, he's excited. He says, "Hey, this is what we do." And Chubby says, "Well, how many shops you got?" "Oh, about a handful. It was probably less than 100. Call me when you got 2,500, right?" And just boom, shut him down. Well, it was about a year later when he was, and here we are. And it was such a kind of a difficult grind almost, where you'd get out there and from when you're actually at the trade show, and you see the folks and you say, and gosh, and it really weighs on you. But tell me, I'm more interested. Tell me about what is the solution, Jill, that you would say that you're providing? What's your mission statement? What's the main goal and solution that you're looking to provide specifically to independents?
So our mission statement is we're for consumers in the repair and carrying of their car, but we're also for shops who are for those consumers. And there's a lot of products out there, and they're totally based on like bidding and a race to the bottom, and we are not doing that with our estimator. If you've ever looked at our estimator, like, our goal is to create a level playing field for shops and consumers where they can interact, to create a marketplace where they can interact and where consumers feel that they are getting a fair price, and where shops feel like they're able to charge a fair price. So if you compare our estimator to other estimators, we're generally higher. And that's because we have an internal team of automotive professionals that we're constantly looking over the estimates, because our network, you have to qualify to be a part of our network. So those shops have to make all the capital investments in training and tools and equipment. And if they're, once they've made those investments, they're able to provide a bigger suite of repairs, and their fixed right first time is going to be much higher because they've made those investments. We're for those shops. And we realize those investments are expensive. And if you can't charge a good amount for your labor rate and for your parts and make money, then those shops are not going to exist anymore.
So that's, there's a lot to kind of unpack there. Because, as part of that is when you first came out, and the estimator first came out, and a lot of people said, hey, and as a matter of fact, and I don't know if it was kind of deserved or, how it got hung around your neck, but actually, I think the first perceptions in the market, Jill, was that, RepairPal is saying that we're ripping off the consumer, right? That our prices are too high and that they need this service. And so it was almost like, whether it was intentional or not, I doubt it was, because that's a hard place to start from, is to say that it was almost the consumer versus the shop. And then, but you need the shops to get onto the system. So man, that's what I was saying. It's almost as if you started out right behind the eight ball. How did you overcome that? Because I know you've been working hard in those 7-8 years to kind of overcome that. And now when you talk to folks, there's like people who get it, right? And you have consistent lead generation for those folks. And then there's folks that are still kind of, I wouldn't go near them with a 10-foot pole. And
I mean, it's definitely, there's two sides to that. There's shops who love us. We do a lot of value delivery for them. We provide them with a good platform to have the price conversation with their customers without committing to a price. We provide a range, and we provide a lot of additional educational content so that the consumer can learn about the repair. And most often, the information that we provide is going to mirror what the shop owner is going to say. So it provides a level of credibility that unfortunately is needed in this industry. I was recently on another, I was talking with Bogey from All Girls Garage on her. It was fun. I was on her podcast, and a lot of the issues in the industry, there's a few bad apples who create that environment, and unfortunately that spreads. And what I've found and what I know is that most shop owners are not like that. They are hardworking people who want to help people. So we kind of provide a platform and a way for them to kind of bridge that initial trust gap.
Because yeah, and that, it's, we have a lot of parallels, right? Because in the digital inspection space, it was one of those things where initially it was kind of seen as a gimmick, or, I've been doing this forever, I don't need this. Or if I need pictures, because it's just pictures.
Yeah.
I have a phone, or as more phones started to develop cameras, right? Because we've been around a little while too.
Yeah.
And so, but the funny thing is that now, just the way that the digital consumer is evolving, there's no place to hide, right? There is nowhere to hide. And it's some folks, you got to drag them kicking and screaming to this realization, and then they can adopt it and leverage it and profit from it. Other folks will resist it. And you always have that segment across, I love to tell this joke, and I'm not even kidding. I have a friend, childhood friend, still never been on the internet, still has a pager.
What?
I don't know how.
Does it work? Are they even supported?
But he has a pager.
Like, is there I mean, I imagine doctors have pagers.
He has a pager.
Still.
Yeah.
So imagine
I have no clue how he got the service. I've never even heard of it, but he has a pager. So, and he's just one of those guys. He's a laggard or whatever, the marketing term is for him. But so as you see that evolution, right? As people start to get that realization, and I'm sure that, success breeds more success. And so you have some folks to brag about. But what is the big challenge for you, and how are you, what is your strategy around overcoming that is to say, look, this is an inevitable thing. The digital consumer demands this. They're going to get the information one way or the other. That's the thing. You can't hide on the internet.
No.
Right? So how do you marry those two together to say to somebody, not only do we have success here, but this is an inevitable thing. And, you should probably start getting used to it and building a foundation using these tools now, so that you're not, under the bus later.
Yep. I mean, we do a lot of education around it. I talk a lot about it. We recently did I was at one of your digital conferences and talking about price transparency, because it exists everywhere now. And it particularly exists, our data shows that about 80% of auto consumers are checking prices online before they come into the shop. And they're checking prices and they're calling you on the phone and they're asking you the price while they're looking at it. So resist it. It's out there, so you can resist it and you could not like it and you can do all those things, but it is in your best interest to at least educate yourself about what estimators are out there, how they're built, and be able to have that conversation with the consumer. I've went into shop groups and done training, and one of my first questions that I asked them to ask the consumer is, did you get a price online, and where did you get that price? So that way the person, the service advisor knows where that information is coming from, and then if they've educated themselves, they'll know how those estimates were built. Our estimator is built on the same data that shop owners have access to. It's not different. We apply some different formulas to them. We formulate labor rates by zip code, not by region. A lot of the estimators out there, they just cut the US into different regions and then they apply labor rates. And that doesn't work. Like, I'm in Oakland. And our labor rate in Oakland is $20 an hour less than San Francisco, which is only 12 miles away. Yeah. We have areas in New Jersey where the river goes through. One side of the river is $20, $30 difference in labor rate from one side of the river to the next. So we realized that early on and built models and algorithms, and we're recently creating a new labor rate model. So we're constantly looking at it and trying to figure out how the best way to display that is for shops, so that it's fair for shops and fair for consumers as well.
And that's a lot of feedback from the actual shop owners and the consumer as well, right? What's your process for collecting that? Do you survey? I mean, how does that work?
I mean, so we have 2,700 shops now. So we get, labor rates from them. And then we use regional price parities. We look at different areas, like what the cost of living is, how much techs are getting paid, how much rent per square foot. And we take all those things into consideration when you're creating a labor rate, because my goal is to have our labor rate not only be what shops are charging, but what they should be charging. And a lot of our data shows that our labor rates are fair, but they could probably be higher. So we're in the process right now of creating a model that will support that.
So, and one of the things that I think, scared a lot of people away, at least initially, was, and this was the scuttlebutt, right? The rumor that runs around. And that would be that, hey, you know what, they're kind of letting anybody in, and you got, shady guys in there, and they're just driving the price down. There's no way that I can compete at that price that they're putting on there. How do you vet that? Is there limitations to the size, annual revenue? I mean, how do you make sure that you're kind of grouping like with like, so that we're supporting the price point versus undercutting it?
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things my certification team does is when we get the labor rate from the shop, we run it and we look to see, like, is it in the range? And we find that like a lot of the shops are under the range.
Wow.
So, and they're like, oh, great, I'm going to be under your range. And it's like, that's not great. That hurts the industry, because if you bring a car into your shop at a low labor rate and you're not going to make money, the only way you're going to make money is to sell things. And that puts you in a really bad position. So if, we want labor rates to be fair. And every shop, we do not let anybody into our network. You have to have current training. You have to have a computerized shop management system. You have to have good customer service scores. We check all those things, and we don't let shops in who don't. Everybody that's on the same criteria. So even when we work with large groups, those shops are vetted individually. So if we, have 100 shops that want to come in from a particular group, I can guarantee you 100 of those shops are not going to get in. And we're going to go through and individually, just like we would any other mom and pop store or multi, unit, they're all vetted the same. And they, and we constantly monitor. If problems come up with shops, our number one reason for attrition in our network is removal, is we remove them. We have an internal partner support team who, they act as, they're like the peacemaker. So they fit in between the shop, our partners, which could be a tow company, an extended warranty company, a telematics provider, and the consumer. So if any of these entities has a problem, they can call into our internal support team, who will sort out the problem. And if it's a problem with a consumer, then we'll let the consumer know that the shop was being fair. If it's a problem with the shop, we will take care of that problem and then counsel the shop and possibly remove the shop. If it's a problem with the partner, then we'll reevaluate that partnership if it's something that should be a part of our network. Is it adding value to our shops?
So let me, and actually we've got a question from Dennis Edson along the same lines. And that's to say, we're talking about consumer transparency, but is there transparency between the individual shops in the network? Is there a way to see, and not maybe directly exact down to the penny, but a range of labor rates with the other shops? Do you group them? Or have you thought about maybe doing it, these are randomized, not in your zip code, but same size of shop and same demographic, rent and house costs and all that stuff, average income, whatever it is, to say, here's some ranges of labor rates to give some of that price transparency back to the shops as well.
So that's confidential information. So we don't display other shops' labor rates, but if you want to know what our labor rate is for your area, if you go on to RepairPal.com, put in your year, make, model, your zip code, and a type of car, and type in general diagnosis, it'll tell you what a 1 hour labor rate is. And if you switch between like BMW, Acura, Honda, you know, a GM product or a Ford product, it will give you the labor rate specific to the model.
Oh, very interesting.
So BMW European is going to be higher than Japanese.
Yeah, of course.
You know, so that we take that into consideration as well, but we don't share each shop's data with other shops. We do, when you apply to be a part of our network, we have reporting that we send out. So it shows you how your shop lines up. We're in the process of revamping that right now, so we should have that relaunched. We did it for a while, and then we've been rethinking it, and we're relaunching it probably in the first quarter of next year. So you'll be able to see how your shop lines up in terms of training, in terms of your customer service, in terms of your tooling with the other shops in our network, not in specific areas, because, you know, there's a lot of data sensitivity, so we don't share that information from shop to shop.
Yeah, of course. You know, and so, but let's talk about this. So, you know, if I'm going to get a contact, if I'm going to get into the system and I expect, you know, I've got some leads coming in, you know, it's really, at the end of the day, you can make the phone ring, you know, or should be making the phone ring,
Yeah,
at least more than it is now, because that's why I'm in the
this
service,
is what
right?
we do. Yeah.
Right. And so, but it's still up to me to convert, right? And so, in a lot of times, I have to have some wiggle room inside of there because, and it's like anything else. And one of the things I think that people initially would be afraid of, Jill, was to say, well, gosh, you know, you get these guys and they're going to underbid this thing, and then they get you in and they pull it all apart, and then they go, well, guess what? We found all this other stuff, and now, you know, my estimate is way higher than it would have been if you went to the other guy down the road. How do you help set and manage those expectations with folks? What if they have fees additional, like for inspection, for digital inspection, I charge for it, or my diag services that can go 1 to 10 hours, you know, depending on what I'm chasing.
Yeah, a lot of that is up to the shop. So in terms of diag, we do provide a 1-hour diagnosis. I have to look, I think there's some verbiage in there that should say that, like, this is for 1 hour. It could take longer. You know, and we spend a lot of time in the estimator just making sure that we're educating consumers. So like in terms of like a water pump, there's a bunch that are done right now, but like you can put in water pump and then you can say add timing belt, add the tensioners, you can add different things. You can kind of show the consumer that. So you can play with the estimator in different ways. And we're really working on some additional functionality in the next year. So we'll be able to make it better. And we're always taking feedback. If you have feedback about our estimator, email me at Jill@RepairPal. It comes right to me, and I am the product owner over the estimator. So I work with the product team to talk about, like, this is what people are saying. And it's my goal. I'm part of the industry. I came out of the industry. I'm not just like some tech person who works at a tech company. Like, I care about what happens. And I mean,
no offense, tech people.
Yeah, no, but that's not like my background. Like, you know, we sit in meetings and they say, like, you know, one of the big ones was in the beginning, they would talk about APIs, and I'm like, I have no idea what that even is. So I would sit in meetings in Google terms because I'm an automotive person. I'm not a tech person. Now I know a lot of these things because I've been here long enough. But it is the goal to like make it a good tool. One of the other things, if you're a RepairPal certified shop, we guarantee it. If it's wrong, we'll pay you the difference. You charge the consumer and you provide them with a good customer service experience. You know, you charge them the top of the estimator. You submit to us at estimate feedback at RepairPal, and we do an evaluation of it, and we pay the difference. And then we submit the updates to our data providers, who then provide the update for the next quarterly release. So it's Motor, we use Motor data for our time. So then we submit that to Motor, and Motor then evaluates it and they make changes. So it's kind of it's a win-win. It's a systemic fix. So like if, you know, your rear main seal time is wrong, then Motor, you know, gets that information that we had to pay a claim on it. You know, and some of the claims are a couple $1,000s. Our average claim is in the, you know, $150 range. It's not that much, but to a little shop, that's a lot. And that's our way of saying, you know, thank you for pointing this out because we'll fix it.
Yeah. And so really what you're saying is help us help you, right? The more that they
The
interact
more,
and give feedback and comment, and the better and more accurate you can build that
can
estimate.
make it, because
Yeah.
consumers are using it. Like
Yeah.
whether you like it or not,
Yeah.
they're out there. We look up prices on everything. I
Of
mean,
course.
I
Yeah.
know you know how much stuff costs now before you walk in somewhere because you've probably Googled it and looked around and tried to find the best price.
Read all the reviews
And all the reviews and everything. But then something happens after you've built a relationship with that consumer, they probably won't check. Like there's businesses that I use that I don't think twice about it. And after you've created that rapport with your customer, they're not going to think twice about it either. And they're probably not going to use the estimator anymore. But for the first couple of interactions, it's like when you're dating, you know, you don't go full hog hole. Well, some people do, but you shouldn't. You should like vet that person a bit before you let them get, you know, close enough, that close to you. And that's kind of like the estimator. Like people are going to use it the first couple of times, and then after that, that's your customer.
Yeah, and that's really it. I mean, most people, and you know, that's the other thing. And we talk about this a lot, right? Is that digital consumers are conditioned. You know, they're conditioned to have that information right at their fingertips and have that transparency. And if they can't find it, they won't continue to look. They'll find somebody who does provide it.
Yeah.
And there they go. You know, you might as well be in Siberia because they're never going to find you.
Because they're not going to. Yeah, they're not going
You're
to.
done. And but now if you have that, and then now the next test is, did you stick to it? Was it fair? Did I get my value? Was it as expected? And once that happens, now I'm never going to change, right? Because it's work. And I don't want to deal with that in my digital life. I just want to be able to hit a button on an app and say, oh, I'm going to drop my car off or come pick it up or whatever it is.
Yep.
And I know it's going to be this range. Is that expensive? Is that cheap? I don't know. But you know, it works and it's what I can afford and it's convenient and all of those good things for me. And I just keep doing it over and over and over again. Forever, really. You have to work hard to kind of mess up that relationship with a digital consumer once you've built that trust with them.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, like, I like AutoVitals. I like the platforms because they do provide transparency. We provide it like up front. And then when it's a good fit because it's transparency from end to end transparency. And that's important for people these days. And one of the other things that we found is that 40% of the consumers check the price after they've already authorized it. So they've authorized it and then they're like, oh, I should go check. You probably already have that car on your rack and they may or may not say something to you. They might just be like, wow, this person is, you know, not charging me a fair price. And I'm not going to say anything because I'm kind of timid, but I'm certainly not going to go back.
But I'm gone.
That could not even be the case. It could just be a simple, you know, you had to do, you know, like in the case of like maybe a valve cover gasket, they look it up and it says valve cover gasket. Well, you're doing the one side that has the intake over it. So it's not 3 hours, it's 6 hours, you know, and not having, if you don't know and you're not super aware of what's going on in the world of auto repair estimation online, like you could get caught in that and lose consumers needlessly.
Yeah. And you know, and the other side of that is too, is a lot of times folks get that information wherever they get it from. It's best if they get it from, you know, a trusted source or the shop itself through their educational information online, but they're going to get the information and then they call up and test you or they chat you and test you. Right.
Yep.
And they already know the answer or what the answer is, but they're going to, and then whoop, that's how they pass that judgment on you. And so let's talk, you know, because, you know, I'm just going to pose this, Jill, because I can, and you're on my show. So, so I was thinking, you know, what would really make that estimator awesome is if it had digital assets from inspections with, you know, kind of a percentage behind it that says, you know, 75% of, '06 Honda Civics need this water pump job done. Here's what it looks like visually in pictures and what to expect from a parts perspective, and then give a range. And so, I could see where the digital inspection assets would really, I think, tie into the educational and the information experience that your consumers that rely on your tool, because that's really what I'm sure when somebody starts using RepairPal from a consumer perspective, they always use RepairPal. They're like Yelpers almost, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we have actually talked about that. And that is one of the things that I did talk to my product people about, is including some sort of video and a better explanation. Because right now we have a repair encyclopedia, and it's a lot of pictures and things, but like a good video explanation, a good picture, actual pictures of what the repair is would be really helpful. So, we are constantly upgrading the estimator, and I wouldn't be surprised if those types of pictures and videos started to appear on our site.
Well, if you're looking for help,
we should talk about that. We should talk about that.
Guys, so if you're looking,
do you know some guys that have that? Yeah,
I know where you can find some stuff.
Yeah.
But no, and I think because that really is the evolution, and as a lot of this, us as providers to this industry, a lot of this stuff really starts to consolidate. It's inevitable. Everything is consolidating, right? Eventually, Google Glasses was just a little too early, and you probably won't need the glasses. It'll just be an implant at some point, but everything will cross-reference, right? At some point in the future, especially with the big data and just the way things are starting to evolve. And it's really important, I think, that there are those, cross-functional beneficial type services that are layered in there. It not only, again, I think the currency, right, of the digital age is transparency. It really is.
It is.
And it helps you to be transparent. It helps us to be transparent. It helps get that message out there. But most importantly, it helps that shop to then really overcome that stigma of, oh, they're just going to get me in there and try to sell me stuff that I don't need, to, hey, this person, this automotive repair shop owner and this team of people of professionals in that shop are just as critical as my doctor, my dentist, anybody else providing me my lawyer, right? Providing professional services. And you would never think that, you're going to go into the doctor, they're going to try to upsell you on a knee replacement or something.
No.
You know what you can use.
Nobody ever questions that. Like, are you doing too much work because you're trying to bill me? Nobody ever says that, but they say it about their car all the time. And your car does need things like to be safe and to be reliable and
to have value and to have resale value, right?
Yeah. Like, do you ever want to not have that car? Do you want to keep it out of the junkyard? Like, nobody questions the doctor when they say that. I do question my dentist though.
No, dentists. They're like the chiropractor.
Like those guys, those dentists. Like,
I'm just kidding.
Sure?
Dentists are married to dentists out there. It was just a joke. So let's talk a little bit about how you work with warranties and where kind of sources of the leads come from. Actually, we have a question from Kenneth Newberry. He's asking, it's probably might even be a little personal plug there, but hey, Kenneth, I applaud your your courage. He's saying, will CarShield become a part of the RepairPal family of warranty companies? And if you could, Jill, talk to us a little bit about how you collect leads for shops.
Yeah, we have over 40 partners, and I believe CarShield might be one of our partners. I'd have to verify that. But we have extended warranty providers. We have tow providers. We're heavily into the telematics space. And also, which is more recent in the last couple of months, it's one of our big wins and things we celebrate from 2020 is that when you go into Consumer Reports and you look at their certified shops, those are RepairPal certified shops. They've used our estimator for a long time, but they've had issues in the past, obviously, with listing big networks of shops. They've thoroughly vetted us, and our shops are listed as Consumer Reports certified shops. So that's a way we drive leads. CarMax, they highly encourage anybody who buys a car from CarMax to use RepairPal certified shops. And in the terms of their CarMax Max Care warranty, they reduce the deductible $50 in most states. I don't think Washington and Oregon, they have some law about why you can't do that. They don't do it there, but nationwide. So we drive leads through that channel, through all the other extended warranty providers that we work with, through Ajero, who is the largest tower behind AAA. If you break down in an area, you don't know where to take your car, they will tow it to a RepairPal certified shop. The consumer might not even know that's a RepairPal certified shop. It's just one of the shops that Ajero will tow it to. Verizon, Hum. We are the back end behind Verizon Hum. So they have a dongle, but they're also making it an app to monitor your car. And our shops are listed in Verizon Hum as the shops to take your car to. So Verizon customer, biggest cell phone company in the US, check engine light comes on. Where do I take my car? We're built into the USA owner's app. You know, you go through there, you have your insurance, you have your car loan, you have where to get my car repaired. Those are RepairPal certified shops. So that is our partner channel. And that is the thing that quite honestly drives the most value. The value from that channel, the average repair order is somewhere between $700 and $900. So it's mid to major repairs. It's not a lot of maintenance. Then we have RepairPal.com. During normal times, RepairPal.com gets about 6 million site visitors a month. During COVID times, we've been getting about 4, but the interesting thing is our conversion rate has remained the same. So even though we have less visitors, we have the same, if not higher, conversion of those visitors to our site. And, you know, consumers come on, they get the information, they get an estimate, they call a shop. We deliver like 9 to 12 leads from a month per shop on average. You know, some areas get a lot more. Fortunately, some areas get a lot less. If you're in an urban area, you're going to get a lot more. If you're in a rural area, you get less. And, you know, one of the big differentiating factors between us and some other lead gen platforms that are similar, but not the same, is our RO value. Our RO value is between $500 and $600 through that channel. So we're not sending you Groupon oil changes. We're not sending you discounted work. We do not have any partners that require a discount. That's one of our things. Early on, we partner with AARP and they required a discount. And that didn't play very well with our network. So, you know, while you do have to pay us on the back end, once that customer becomes your customer, they're not going to be a customer that's going to ask you for 10% every time. Like, you know, once they become your customer, then if they come back to you directly and not through partner channels, that's your customer. So you know, you can't just look at it with the upfront cost of retaining that of acquiring that customer. It's like, what's the lifetime value of that customer? And that's what we send you. We send you, you know, repairs, actual repairs, not oil changes, not maintenance, not things like that. I can't say that will never come through but that's not the focus of our site. That's not how it was built.
You know, at the same time, you know, well, hey, look, I think the bread and butter, you know, yeah, repairs, you know, they really, you know, help inject revenue and it's great for the bottom line, all that stuff. And we want lots of good repair, but vehicles are just becoming more and more reliable. And it really is, you know, you got to get the service and there's nothing, you know, nothing wrong with doing service, right? There's nothing to shy away.
No, service is great.
And so, you know, and it's like you said, a lead's a lead. And if I can get somebody in the door, even if it is a more, you know, a lower level service, but then knock them out with my customer service and my, you know, everything about my awesome espresso, whatever it is. I mean, then you have that, you know, that customer for life and you know, as long as you can keep.
After you do like their water pump, like they're gonna need maintenance, and they might not need. Eventually, and they might even need maintenance when they're in your shop, and then you know you have the opportunity to sell them that as well.
And so, how do you position that? What is your strategy behind that and differentiating? You know, yeah, it sounds like you're fishing for the lunkers, right? You're you run your bait deep, and you're looking for those big ticket repairs, and everybody, you know, that makes the lights blink on the slot machine. But
Yeah.
what pays the bills is those bread and butter type of services. How do you differentiate, and how do you attract those as well and feed those off to your shops?
So, you know, a lot of what comes through our partner channels is repairs. That's what comes through. You know, our site, we have over 3 million pages of content on our site. And we own, I'd venture to say, millions of search terms. So, you know, I call it internet magic because that is not my core competency and how all that happens. I just know that the amount of investment into the amount of content on our site to attract that. If you do, you know, some search for repairs in certain areas, if we have shops in those areas, we'll come up in the top search terms for those areas. Organic search terms, not paid search.
And so, and those are keywords, those are all repair and service specific keywords.
Oh yeah.
And so you're able to attract those as well. Now, let me ask you this. So let's say, is there a way for me to reject, you know, a type of service or a listing, or if something comes up as, you know, the average price is just too low, hey, in these other areas, you know, I'm all about it. That's in my wheelhouse, but over here, not so much. Can I go through and let's say, you know, pick and choose what services or repairs that I want to be listed for?
Yep. Our partner programs are all a la carte. So say like, the gentleman who brought up Car Shield, suppose you have had some go rounds with that extended warranty company and you don't want that word anywhere near your shop, you just tell us and we turn off that partner for you. So you can go through and say that you don't like telematics for whatever reason that would be. You could turn off that whole category. You could turn off individually the extended warranty companies who are the extended warranty companies you don't like to work with. One of our partners is also a Simple Tire, and Simple Tire ships tires to you know, independent shops. And if the amount to mount and balance that tire, if it's too low for your shop, then don't sign up for that partnership and you won't get that work. So you're able to go in and pick and choose what you want. And the good thing about our partners too, it's all pay for performance. You do have to pay a 10% fee for the work we send you. But if we don't send you anything, you don't pay anything. And if we send you work, say like you have work like tires or a transmission or something that you really didn't get your margin on it. And so paying us the 10% really like makes it so you didn't make any money on the job. Then you can call into our account management. You have a dedicated account manager and they know that there are specific jobs, batteries, tires, you know, high value like engines, transmissions, where you're not going to make your normal margins on those jobs. So paying a referral fee for that job is really not cool. They'll work with you on that.
Well, that's great. And so, you know, and actually Kenneth said that, you know, he looked and that Car Shield isn't in there. So how do folks submit requests to do business with, you know?
You could submit them to me and I'll get them to our business development director, our VP of business development. He you know, he's all over. He talks to all the different car companies, from insurance to extended warranty to tow providers to fleet providers to he's in there constantly looking for the best partnerships for our shops.
Awesome.
And one of the things too is that we really vet our partners like we vet our shops. So there are partnerships that we've walked away from because we don't feel like what they're doing is in the best interest of shops and isn't good practice, what we would consider a good practice, something that we would want to have our name on. Yeah.
Well, no, that's that, you know, and you really, you've done great work, Jill, because, you know, like I said, I remember 10 years ago, it was, well, I wouldn't want to be in those board meetings, but you know.
Yeah, no, exactly. Let me tell you.
Wouldn't want to be in those offices. And the media wasn't your friend. I mean, they were just kind of digging holes for you, it seemed like, right?
Oh yeah.
But,
no, it was like I got to where I've developed some thick skin over the years, especially being like the public facing kind of person who's done most of the trade shows and showed up on panels and talked about it. But it's just the message is evolving, and it's really been powerful to see it go from everybody hated us to at least people have an understanding now of what we're trying to do. And we're delivering really good value to a lot of shops. We're not great in every area. If you're very rural, then probably not a good fit. But if you're near a major metro, if you're near a CarMax, if you're near a military base, or it's worth giving us a try. We have good deals out there, especially right now. Really good deals out there to get into, to get you in our network. We have high density areas or high need areas that if you're in those high need areas, if anybody is outside of Seattle near Palula, oh, Siri, shut up. If you're near like, I forget what the name of this, I have trouble saying it. It's like Palula, Washington. We need shops there. We have value for you. It's just, it's evolved, and I feel really proud about it. Like it's, I'm proud to be a part of it. And I've been in the industry, over 25 years.
So so I've got a couple questions also in from John Cannon, Nick Morabito have a couple questions. And,
Sure.
and I want to address these a little bit. How do folks, if they have, some support type questions, or and I'll be specific in John's case, he's got folks that are coming back 4 or 5 times. They're still getting the 10%. How do they submit that? How do they, bring that?
See, there should be, if you're a RepairPal shop, you should have a dashboard, and there's a place to submit a case through your dashboard to ask for that. Anything that comes in. So there's a big controversy and there's a lot of talk in the industry and in all industries really about who actually owns that customer. So when you're talking about partner programs, as long as those customers, now listen to me here, as long as those customers come back in through the partner channels, there will be the 10%.
Well, that's interesting.
Now, so if they come through CarMax and they book through CarMax, you will always be charged that 10% because that is CarMax's customer. They're using CarMax to come into your shop.
Yeah, that's kind of like, I guess how, the restaurants get it with the DoorDash or something, right? Because I can call.
But if you walk directly into that restaurant, then you don't pay those fees, right?
Right. And so that's interesting. And so if I read between the lines, Jill, what you're saying is that I need to set some expectations, maybe, at the next visit to say, maybe even incentivize, hey, here's a little 10% if you call me direct, or if you book through our website, book an appointment link or something.
Yeah. I didn't say that, but yeah. Like,
yeah, because, sure. I understand.
Like if they're going to come every time you use DoorDash, even if that's your favorite restaurant, you have to pay DoorDash.
Right.
To bring it to you, and they have to get their fee. If they come in through RepairPal.com, then your $199 a month covers that. So we don't charge you 10%. That's just however many of those 9 to 12 leads you can convert, those are yours.
And so is there any restrictions on, like, let's say, as part of my follow-up after service, if I send something out that says, hey, book your next appointment using this link or this link specifically, not this link, or is that legal?
I mean, how shops do their internal marketing, that's on the shop. That's like their business, not ours. So however, once that consumer is in your shop, now every single time that they come in and they use their extended warranty, that will get charged, because that comes back in through the warranty channel, and we can totally, we can attribute a repair to that. But when they're coming in for their normal maintenance and repair, if they book through CarMax, then we do charge 10%.
Yeah. And so, and so that's great. And so that's great advice for folks. It really is. And it's almost, hey, you got to win that customer over. Yeah. You got them through the door with, RepairPal or CarMax or however they come on through.
Yeah.
But now you want to make them your customer, and there's nothing
Mhm.
wrong with that. And you're paying
Yeah,
that.
there's nothing wrong. Make them your customer.
Go for it. And people love that anyway. And we have to stop shying away from talking about the next appointment and how to book it, and giving some expectations and even in some incentives to kind of, educate your motorist on how your shop operates. It may be, the expectation for the digital inspection as well, and how you're going to get your follow-ups and your service reminders. And this is how you book that appointment. Matter of fact, you book it right through my service reminder. You click that link. You don't need to go to any other place, right?
No.
And so that's really up to you to set that up. Nick is asking, he was told, or the understanding is that it was all or nothing on the partner work. Can you clarify on that for Nick?
Oh, absolutely. It's not all or nothing. You don't have to, you do not have to sign up for all of our partner programs. You could sign up for none of the partner programs. Now that would be like eating a vanilla cake with no frosting. Like, why would you, if you're going to eat a vanilla cake, you want frosting.
Is it
Right?
pudding in the middle of it? Because I love those.
Yeah, maybe, you want all those additional things, you just don't want this like dry piece of cake. You need the fillings and you need the frosting.
Yeah.
So, but you could just have the cake if you want to. You don't have to sign up for any of it. But the partners are a la carte. Like you could just sign up for Max Care if you want. You could just sign up for TWG. You could just sign up for Ajero. And you can try out different ones and see. We do provide, as long as we're able to track it, we do provide reporting, so you can look in your dashboard and you can see where you're getting value.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're giving it to Kenneth. Kenneth says, that back to that car show, they need a little love to get in there, but he says they love you, and you've been a huge blessing during the pandemic.
During the pandemic, we actually grew this year.
Sure, yeah.
And a large part of that is because of CarMax and our partnership. So when a lot of franchise dealers closed down their service departments, and CarMax closed down their service departments for 3 months, and all of that work went to our shops, everything. Because CarMax, they refer a large part of that work, and we're constantly meeting with them. We meet with them every other month for an entire day, and we strategize about how to refer more CarMax business into RepairPal shops. Our NPS for their customers is very high. So they are very proud and very interested in continuing to drive business.
So then if you don't know, NPS is Net Promoter Score, and that means
Net Promoter Score, sorry. Yeah.
That means
we
good.
live and die by NPS scores. Yeah.
Sure.
The average shop in our network has an NPS score of, I think it's 76. The average shop in the country has an average NPS score of about -10.
Yeah,
so we really do break off the better shops.
I believe that. That's great. I mean, that's great. You lead with that next time, Jill. So Kimberly's asking, so give us some price transparency and some kind of, how does it work? She's asking, if they pay the $199, do they still pay the 10% on top of that?
They do. So the $199 is for the business that comes through RepairPal.com. So that's the leads that come through RepairPal. That's the business that comes through RepairPal. Then there's the partner channels. So the partner channels, you don't get anything, you don't pay. But yeah, it's a both. You do pay the $199 to be listed, and for all the website traffic and the other things that some of the other benefits that we have, the estimator guarantee, all that, and then there's the partner channel.
So the trick, Kimberly, is to get them to come in for 10% on the oil change, and then convert them over to the engine swamp like a direct book.
Yeah. I mean, the shops that get it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I'm sure. No,
and the shops that are set up with the right marketing, with the digital inspections, all those kind of things, those are things that are a sign of a shop that understands consumers today. Not even consumers 5 years ago. Like in the last 5-6 years, like the industry has evolved in a way that I don't think it evolved the previous 20 years.
No way. Oh, and that
No.
last year, I mean, what everything is.
Oh yeah, especially now, like
Yeah.
in COVID times, like, you know, we're
I'm
still
trying to figure
going.
out how to send a hot dog to you digitally. Like I downloaded in my email and, oh, it tastes
Mhm.
like hot dog.
Yeah,
You know,
and we grew this year. So, you know, at the beginning of the year, like everybody else, we kind of like, you know, we really tightened up. We didn't lay anybody off. You know, we kept everybody intact, and we all rode this year out, and we've grown. And,
oh
you
yeah.
know, that's a big win in this economy to be able to say that.
No, and we've had several episodes, you know, digital shops won in 2020. I mean, there's just no,
Mhm.
it's, you know, it was a terrible year and it was bad stuff. And I'm not making light of any of that stuff, but if you were prepared and you were transparent coming into it, or you were able to
Mhm.
adopt that quickly, they won. I mean, I've got shops
Yep.
that have put 30, almost 40% increase in revenue.
Yeah, we have shops who attributed the only reason they made it through this year was because of the volume we sent them,
Yeah, sure. No, and
you know?
especially
Like,
in the April, you know, in March, April, into March, April, that was so devastating, you know,
mhm.
and you could really see the difference. I mean, there was shops that were just closing their doors, some never reopened, unfortunately, and then there was others that were just they were running help
Yep.
wanted ads for the
It's
because they
created like a huge divide in the industry.
yeah,
I think a lot of the lower, you know, shops, the ones that who weren't prepared and who don't have the practices are gone. You know, one of the main reasons that we've had for attrition this year is shops closing.
yeah, right. I know. And, you know, and I wouldn't even say it wasn't shops that weren't prepared. I guess, yeah, I mean, you can't argue that they weren't prepared, but they were just more traditional in their approach.
Yeah.
Awesome shops. They've been doing
Hmm.
great work, you know, and in a lot of those areas, they were so awesome that the community was so tight that, you know, community supported them
Yeah.
too. You're fine. But man, if you're in a really highly competitive market and you were just too traditional and you just weren't willing to kind of think outside the box and put yourself out there, ooh,
And
that's
to try new things, like, you know, in my sales team, and my internal teams, my whole message to them this year is what got us here is not going to get us there. So
yeah.
our ability to adapt and change and be agile is super important. And that's equally as important when you're talking about direct repair.
Yeah, it's the name of the game. And you know what? And I'll tell you what, if you just have faith, if you just trust, you as an individual shop owner do not have to be that agile. You don't have to get out of bed thinking about the next big
Mm-mm.
change, sea change. You have people like us doing it for you. And
Yep.
we're not trying to sell you a bill of goods. We're really trying to see the market, prepare for it, and give you at least a solution that's gonna fit, that's gonna keep you viable, right?
Yeah.
That's really what drives us at AutoVitals is being that crystal ball for you. And if you have the faith and you just kind of roll up the sleeves and do those best practices,
Yep.
even if they change on a monthly or weekly, the reason they're changing is because consumer behavior is changing. The data is changing. It's telling us to make
Yeah.
we don't like just, you know, updating you and making you jump through hoops. It's really
Yep.
for a reason. And I think what's happened, Jill, and I think you would attest to this too over the last 10 years or so, is that folks are starting to figure it out. Folks are starting to say that our types of services really are in their best interest. Yeah, we got to make a dime too, but really, you
Hmm.
know, we're not going to keep making dimes if we can't see around the curve and help folks be prepared for
Yep.
that. There's so much pressure from consolidation and the dealers and all of these things that are happening in the industry to keep the independent aftermarket, small, American business owners viable. You really have to play in that sandbox. There is just no two ways about it. And if you can come with somebody, you know, grew up in the industry, Jill Trotta, you know, you have great credibility you've developed through that company with, you know, the tow
Hmm.
services and CarMax and the insurers and all of these other, you wouldn't be in there if you didn't have that credibility. And you
Yeah.
really get that $199 is, you know, kind of deep supply to be able to put that type of credibility hanging from your shingle as well. You know, Jill,
Yeah.
real quick, before we kind of close out and follow up, because I can't believe we're already at the top of the hour, but I want to get Robert's question in because I was kind of digging around this earlier. And Robert's saying, how do you ensure that you're not underpricing extensive work or unusual type of vehicles? For an example, clutch replacement on a V70R Volvo, you know, a lot of people just don't see that vehicle. So there's, you know, less data available means bigger variances in the result, because shops don't see that often. And more time is required to complete the job than a vehicle they see, you know, constantly.
So there are jobs that we delist. If they are too complicated, then we'll delist them. I'm not sure about Volvo clutch job, if we have it listed, if I'm not sure if it's there or not, but if there's something that is problematic, we'll take those estimates down, because there's just so much complexity about them that it doesn't make sense to list them. We want to list the more common repairs, things that people are going to look for, and then suggest they call a shop. What we do is, if, say, the shop was a Volvo specialist and they have identified that to us, and then somebody searches for a Volvo online, they will appear first in our search. So we will serve up somebody who has a specialty in a particular car before doing somebody who's more of a general make person. But also, if that shop was a RepairPal certified shop and they feel like they're going to take a bath by our estimator, if they just reach out to estimatefeedback@repairpal.com and give me a good story about what it is, and a story that I can then present to Motor about why that time should be higher, we do that, and I'll pay you the difference. And even if, you know, Motor says this, Mitchell says this, and you still want those hours, if you provide me with the information that I need, I can try to push through a change, and a change that will happen in the data overall for that repair.
Yeah.
And so if you're a good customer of mine and it's like a $200 or $300 difference, like, you're a good customer of mine.
Yeah, sure.
You know,
and then there you hear,
service is important.
You know, Jill's from the industry. She's got, you know, the industry's best interest at heart. And she's opened that door. She has said, you know, here's how to get in touch with me. And hey, you know what? It doesn't hurt to ask, right? And if you're willing to consider those things on a case-by-case basis, I think that's the most anybody can ask for.
Absolutely. Just, you can email estimatefeedback@RepairPal. Even if you're not one of our shops and you see something, you can email me at Jill@RepairPal. And we take those things seriously, because the reality is, and like for AutoVitals, for RepairPal, for whatever company, if you don't exist, we don't exist. So we want to be a friend to the industry. We want to be somebody who solves the problem that the industry has had. We're not here to hurt the industry. If we hurt the industry, then shops, you know, if created an environment where shops are going to close, then we have a smaller customer pool. So as long as people are being fair and transparent and they're interested in providing a good experience, those are the shops that we want.
Yeah, and help us build the data, because that's really all you're doing is if you're not as accurate in there, it's just you don't have the data, and help them build the data, and then they become more accurate. So help us.
And I'm always willing to jump on a call and have that conversation. Like, I've had some very fun, very contentious conversations about how it's done, and I don't take those things personally. Like, I take them like, you're using your time to reach out to me to help me create a better product for you. Like, I'm going to take the time and listen to you.
And that's how the best stuff gets done, really. You know, if we all just agreed and, you know, I roll over and go, okay, I think you're right, then nothing really changes. Nothing really substantial comes out of it. It's when you have that contentious discussion and then can find some common ground is when progress is made. So, you know, and Jill has opened that door. She is challenging you. She is saying, give me a call, send me an email. Nothing is off the table. Let's hash it out. And you know what? That's all you can ask for is somebody who's going to willing to take. That's what I love about AutoVitals so much. And you know, Uwe puts himself out there and he throws down in that Facebook forum and wherever it is. And he says, let's roll up our sleeves and talk about it. Hear my position. I'll hear your position. And, you know, If my position's stronger, well, then, hey, you know what? That's just the
Yeah.
way, the way it goes.
Or we can just simply
Come with
agree
a
to
better argument next
disagree
time. I
and
don't know what
move
to tell you.
on, you know, agree to disagree and move on. And, you know, as long as, yeah, I mean,
Before I let you go,
yeah.
I want to leave you with this. Kimberly, you know, from earlier with the price clarification is new. And I want to leave you with this. She says, thank you for clarifying. We just signed up and have had 2 cars come in so far, $750 ARO average
Yeah.
work that's come in so far. So, you know, congratulations. Congratulations, Jill.
Thank you.
Jill, I really appreciate you coming on and answering these questions and really being open and honest. I mean, it was such a nice, I think, conversation we had.
Yeah.
It helped a lot of folks get an understanding of what it is that you're doing, you know, how it is that you're supporting them and how that they can help, like I said, help you help them. I really appreciate the time and thank you very much.
Yeah, it's been great. You know, I really miss being out there in the industry. I used to travel, be at all the trade shows, see people and talk to people. And this year has been very weird to not do that because I've been doing that for the last 7 years.
No,
so
I don't know what to do.
yeah, it's just
nuts.
Weird.
You know,
So I appreciate the forum to connect and talk.
Yeah, as you reflect back on this year and you think to yourself, you know, just how critical, you know, and I remember, God, I got to go to this next show and I just been home for, and what, you know, now I'm just champing at the bit. I wish you could get out there and how, you know, so much of what we do revolved around that human interaction and that face-to-face contact and, you know,
and we're very much like an old school company in a new school space. Like we are much better as a team face to face, like, hey, Tom, trust me, I want to provide you value and I want to provide you the best experience. Like that's kind of our bread and butter and that's how we operate, you know.
And that'll never change. You know, the digital technology really just it takes the distractions. The way I look at it, it takes the distractions
so
out
that
of
you can connect.
So we can connect. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's, you know, we'll leave you with that. That's food for thought. Jill, how can they find out more information? How can they get in touch with you? If you want to give your contact information one more time, just for folks.
Yeah. If you want to reach out to me directly, just Jill@RepairPal.com. And if you're interested in signing up, if you go on to, you can just email me, or you can go on RepairPal to the shop owner page if it's pretty prominent up there, and just submit a lead through that, and one of my salespeople will call you back, or just let me know and I'll make sure that you get a call back.
Fantastic. Well, Jill,
all right.
Again, it was awesome having you on. I'll let you get back to work. I know there's a lot of shops out there that you got to help. And tune in next week, next Wednesday, same time, same place, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Digital Shop Talk Radio will be back on again. We'll have another fantastic guest, talk about great stuff in the automotive industry. Until then, get out there and make some more money. Still got a few more weeks left in 2020.
All right. Bye.
Thanks everybody.